Hi everyone, Heather Bischoff here. I am back from my trip abroad, and when I think about it, it was quite amazing actually. I think the last time that I left you, I was not feeling well and giving myself permission for that. Have you ever pushed through something where you were just like, I really don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to do this? And so, if you can relate, I would love to hear from you on that. But I decided to give myself permission not to go to a conference one day, even though I had paid for it and I missed Michelle Obama, which I was really bummed about. But the conference ended up being amazing. And I can say, spent about 8 days in London. Uh, I can tell you that the food is not my scene there. I'm not known for being a foodie, but I do love to try new foods with people who know what they're like getting. So, but what I can tell you that the city quietly showed me was just about they were really talking a lot in this conference. So a lot of the people that I met were really talking about leveraging AI to create more work-life balance. And so I think that is something that was really percolating and like processing for me is I'm running my own business. I'm a grandparent. My grandkids live in the Portland area, so not close. I live in Southern California. So I mean, it is a 2-hour flight, but I'm managing, singleness. I'm managing being a parent of adults. I'm managing running a business and, just trying to find the things that truly bring me joy. I mean, when was the last time you really sat down and thought about what brings me joy? What really lights me up? One of the things that I like to play with is human design. I don't know if you've ever heard of human design or not, but human design is kind of like Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, and Chinese I Ching. It's kind of all merged together using the natal birth chart. If this is very woo-woo for you, I don't apologize because it's something that I love. But human design it just kind of tells you based on your natal birth chart, like the things that help you to stay more aligned in your life. And if you're interested in learning more about it, just make a comment and I'm happy to share some links with you on where to find your free chart. And one of the things that, lights me up in my human design, I'm a generator and with a 3-5 profile. Again, if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. You're not missing anything. It's just basically it means I need to have experiences. And having those experiences is how I learn, and I need to have more time playing. And when I look at my business, I'm super grateful that I have a business because starting a business takes a lot of risk, especially after the aftermath of a long marriage falling apart, jumping into the dating scene for the first time, living in a brand new part of the country, a brand new city, a brand new town, all the things. So it's not been easy, but I wouldn't change a thing about it. But the thing that I can say that I've really been reflecting on as I was in London and then Scotland and then Paris is just, again, it was such a good reminder because it's probably been, I think 2019 was the last time I was abroad. So it's been a minute. And I just love how, other countries are just so relaxed. And here in the US, we are not relaxed. No matter how much we would like to say we are just not relaxed. We are constantly hustling. And I think I'm reaching this point where I just want to be. I want to be in my feminine energy. I want to just relax. I want things to flow. Have you ever experienced that? And if you are experiencing that, I would love to just get your perspective and hear what's working for you because I don't have all of the answers, but I can tell you that I have come a long way and just it was a good mirror to me being in these other countries and seeing how people they start their day later and they end their day, I want to say like the European way. I think they work a 35-hour work week and they start around 9:30. They take at least a 2-hour break in the middle of the day and they work until 6 o'clock, which is not a bad schedule at all. And I just kind of think about this and like I would say the hidden message that I received is, I don't have to work so hard. And the funny thing, the most ironic thing about all this is that my ex-husband was a workaholic. I mean, he totally dove into his work. That's what he did. And we don't have to analyze why he did it, but it's so interesting because now as a business owner, I find myself lately working from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. and just completely exhausted. And coming back from this trip, I've just really thought about this and really thought about what do I need to shift and how do I need to do this? Because I'm feeling so called to just have more time to be in nature, to walk, to just enjoy the life that I've built. When was the last time you actually enjoyed the life that you built? And do you even know what that looks like for you? Because I can tell you there for sure was a part in my life where I didn't really know what brought me joy. I did not know, slowing down is a skill. Quite honestly, it is a skill. Slowing down is a skill. It's really part of a feminine energy. The feminine is really all about flow and changing direction and changing your mind and just being fully feminine, like where's the wind calling you kind of thing. And I know for me, what brings me joy is just the things that I just said, is being in nature, being at the beach, being at the pool, photography. Like those are things that I love. Writing, those are things that really light me up and fill my bucket. And as a result, percolating on all of the things from the trip, I'm really seeing it's not like optional. I guess that's where I'm coming from. It's not optional anymore to try to carve out time for these things. It's a necessity. It needs to be something that is as important as any of the other meetings in your day. It needs to be as important as eating. And so that is what I'm working on right now is really how do I build my life around what lights me up versus how do I build my life around my work. And so it's a complete shift and that's what I'm working on. That's kind of what came out of the conference and just the trip overall. And it was just magnificent. I don't know if you've ever seen Paris. The Eiffel Tower was just mind-blowing. I mean, I did not think it was going to be that big. But it was just super fascinating, beautiful, magnificent. What a beautiful city. Scotland, I mean, I can't even start there. It was just so amazing. Loved every minute of it, loved taking it in, the history. It's always good to be reminded how young America is. And, we do have a lot of things to be grateful here, but we can definitely learn from our friends abroad. It was also really interesting knowing that I am 81% from the UK, English and Scottish. There was a sense of me that felt so at home in the UK, for sure. In the UK, the food there, I was like, oh, this is definitely my family roots because so much of the food was very much what I grew up with. Very heavy food, very brown food. That's kind of what I grew up with. That's not how I eat now. And so that was really interesting, but it was just fascinating how everything came together. And I'm a person that does need to percolate on things for a little bit. I can make decisions really fast, but sometimes I just need a little time to process. What about you? Are you a person that just knows immediately, or are you someone that needs to take a little time to process everything that's coming in? And maybe it's my Scorpio sun, I don't know. But I like to kind of like take it all in because one of the things that I can say at the conference and being in the UK, I really was focusing on being present. And I can remember when my son was born, I had my son right before my 17th birthday. And I wouldn't change that for me, but given the circumstances of my life, I would not change that for me, but I also would not recommend it for anybody because I did have to work really hard in just about everything in my life. And so all of those things kind of, coming together and really thinking about just home and how I want to spend more time there and how do I create business there, and oh my gosh, the people here are beautiful. um so all of those things are kind of like coming together. And I know that for some things it was very much like, this is amazing. I love the energy of the city. I love that they, essentially we speak the same language. So that was really nice. Being abroad, there's always like these little cafes and coffee shops, which is so nice because a lot of the places here in Southern California are not built that way. Cities are usually built that way, but if you've ever traveled abroad, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The cafes are just like everywhere, and they're all like so fresh, and it's just amazing. But I'm a person who just needs to kind of take a little time and sit with it. And there are times when I know immediately, and there are times when I just need to, process a little bit and take some time to like go within. Uh, Again, like, what do you do? Are you someone that just knows and runs with it, or are you someone who needs to percolate? And I guess the other thing is like, have you noticed, as you've aged over time, that you take more time? And so when my son was born, I was just not present at all, in that I was so excited to get to the next stage. So, moving from the crib to the toddler bed to the regular bed to getting him to school. And I was always so excited about the next thing that I wasn't present in the moment. And I feel like I missed a lot of his childhood because I was just always ahead. And I think part of being ahead was, well, I know it was a self-protection mechanism, because as long as I knew where we were going, I could protect him and I could protect me. But being in the present was very, very scary. And I can say when I became single, I really had to face that. I really had to sit with being present. And I didn't even know. Have you ever had that situation where you were like just not even aware of something, and then all of a sudden it just hits you in the face and you're like, whoa, I had no idea that was coming. But I was saying 2020 and 2021 during COVID, I really had to confront myself and really sit with being present, because being present means that, at least to me, it means that we're accepting, we're accepting, acknowledging the present moment. We're not necessarily going back, we're not looking forward, we're just being. And just being is very much in a feminine energy. And it definitely took some time to get there because it was very uncomfortable. Being present felt very, very vulnerable to me. And I don't know how you feel about being vulnerable, but most of the people I've come across with don't love feeling vulnerable, because being vulnerable feels like you're being exposed. And that's scary, because how can you protect yourself if you're exposed? But what I've learned is there's so much power and magic in being present that we're just soaking it all up, and we're not caring necessarily about other things, because we don't need to be prepared anymore for what comes, because we trust ourselves. And that is the biggest difference. Is being present means that you're allowing yourself to trust yourself, and to an extent trust the people that you're around, that you are going to be able to face or deal with whatever comes your way when it's time to deal with that. And so I'm not going to lie and say that I'm present all the time because I'm not, but I'm definitely far more present now than I ever have been before. Even, creating this video, I have so many client things. I have one inbox with over 300 emails right now. And I just wanted to spend time with you. I wanted to do that because one, I'm committed to it, but two, I know that there's someone out there who needs to hear this. And if what I've been through and what I've learned can help anybody, save some of the pain and hardship that I've gone through, then it's absolutely worth it to me. Being present and just rebuilding your life, and again going to the place where my ancestors first began. I feel like there was so much swirling around. It's not all completely landed, and it's also why I didn't come on video while I was there, because I really just wanted to be present in the moment, present in my body. And I didn't always do that, but going through the last year and, having my surgery. So for those of you that don't know, I had cervical cancer and needed to have a hysterectomy. And, one of the things that really, really surprised me after that surgery was just having my womb removed was my junk drawer, and I didn't realize it. It's where I held all of my emotions. And after that surgery, I just did not feel like I was in my body because I just didn't know where to put all of the emotions that I was feeling. And, I worked through that and figured that out, and I've written about that, and you can absolutely read about that. But being in Scotland and just the UK as a whole, there's definitely, I didn't know what it was going to offer me, but I feel like what came through was an invitation to come back. One of the things, my best friend joined me for this trip at the end of the conference. She flew in from Indiana, and we explored and adventured together. And I can say that we went to St. Andrews. So we went to Edinburgh and we went to St. Andrews. And St. Andrews was a complete spur of the moment, let's go see more of Scotland kind of thing. Edinburgh was amazing in itself, just a very ancient city, and highly recommend going to see it. It was just very touristy, and I'm a person that I really am authentic, and I like to see where the locals live. I like to see things that are a little bit more off the beaten path because I really want to experience it. Again, I want to be present. And so we ended up just doing a day trip to St. Andrews, and then again, learning that it was essentially the birthplace of golf, and also where there was a lot of religious turmoil that happened, the St. Andrews Cathedral. So again, just so much energy there, and it's just a very, very small place. Gorgeous, like completely beautiful coastal place. And so it rained on and off the day that we were there, but we walked pretty much, I think, across all of St. Andrews for the most part. And it was just really beautiful. So I would say the thing, in rebuilding my life and just kind of putting myself back together, going on these trips, it was interesting because something that came up for me on this trip is just how my ex-husband never wanted to travel with me, ever. And it was really hurtful because travel is something that is important to me, not because I love to be away from home. I actually don't. I love being home. I love my little nest. But I love to just experience new places. And again, that goes back to my human design, right? I love to experience it. I love to see how I feel in these new places. And years ago, I did go to Provence. I have a friend that owns Julia Child's holiday home in Provence. And, again, just I love being there and feeling it. I just can feel the energy. And the thing that the UK really offered me was an invitation back. I'm for sure not done there. And I don't know what it looks like. And again, I think this is part of being present is I am a person that likes to have a plan. I absolutely like to have a plan. I like to know what to expect most of the time. But at the same time, I'm really learning to not have an attachment to outcome. And maybe you've heard that before, not having an attachment to outcome, but I'd like to just explain it a little bit and what it means because I think it sounds all woo woo and it sounds, like, okay, I'm not going to have attachment to outcome. But here's what it really means to me is that you're going to just be present. And whatever happens, you're going to trust that it's the right thing that is going to happen and that you already have what you need to get through it. And so I can say, rebuilding my life, I had no idea. And honestly, if I knew back in 2017 what was coming for me, I probably would have hidden and never come out because the things that I faced were extremely hard. They were difficult, they were uncomfortable. I did things that I never even knew I like they were never even on my radar. I didn't even know that there were certain things that existed. I was in this long marriage and my ex-husband took care of so many things that I was, insulated from. I had no idea. And so if I would have, if someone would have told me in 2017 that, by 2020 you're going to, become divorced, an empty nester, you're going to, get laid off for the first time, you're going to have no money, you're going to move across the country, you're going to, start a new life, you're going to start a new business. That's a lot. That's a lot. Any one of those things is a lot. So if you're going through this right now, even if you're going through divorce in itself is a lot. I don't know why I took on so much, but I just needed to breathe. I just needed to exhale. And I can say when I got to California, I can remember sitting at the South Carlsbad State Beach with my dog, Maggie, and just feeling like I could exhale. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like sometimes I think we're holding on to so much that we stop breathing. And scientifically, that is proven that we do stop breathing. And I actually took a course on learning how to breathe because breathing helps to regulate our nervous system, and our nervous system is essentially what helps to get us through life. And I just needed to learn how to breathe. And coming to California, even though it was hard and scary, and I mean, it was terrifying, I just needed to exhale. And here is the place where I was able to exhale. And, even now I'm constantly faced with, should I be closer to my grandkids? Should I be living abroad? Should I stay here? Should I, I want to buy a home. And so there are things that I want to do still in this life. And I would like to meet a partner and I would like to have roots, a home. But then it's like, my kids want me to, spend time with them and I want to spend time with them, but we don't live in the same state. And so, even now there are things like my life is not by any means this perfect, wrapped package. I am human. And, I remember years and years ago when I was going through another trial, someone said to me, "You're allowed to be human." And that just really struck me so much because I had never given myself permission to be human. And so it's advice that I've shared with so many other people, and I want to share it with you too, because whatever it is that you're facing, whatever you're going through, maybe it's big, maybe it's small, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter if it's big or small or if it matters to you, it matters. But at the end of the day, you're allowed to be human. And what that means is, or at least what it means to me, is that you're allowed to feel what you feel. You're allowed to experience things the way that you need to experience them. And you're allowed to process it on your own timetable, in your own way, and get to the other side however quickly or long that it takes you. That is part of the human experience. It's part of being human. It's also why, even though I wish that I had something, really insightful to share with you about my trip, it's just not there yet. And I'm grateful for the trip. I'm grateful that I was super present for the trip. I'm grateful for the things that I learned from the conference, from just being in these places, from the people that I met. And I know that it's impacted my life. It always does. But I don't have a full answer yet. And that's okay. So wherever you are, if you are, breaking up with a boyfriend or leaving a marriage or just considering, those things, considering leaving a marriage, or maybe you're in a marriage that's really, really hard and you just are trying to stick it out. Whatever it is that you're facing, you could have teenagers at home or young adults that are going to college. Whatever that thing is, it matters because it matters to you and you have permission to have a human moment. And I just want to remind you that you can have a human moment, and it's no one else's business how you deal with that human moment. It's yours. That is yours. It is sacred. It is important. And I just want you to give yourself credit for giving yourself permission, because sometimes that is the first step. I'm curious where you land on this. I've had this whirlwind trip, an amazing conference. There were, I didn't talk a ton about the conference or share a lot about it, but Prince William was there, Michelle Obama was there. There were a lot of famous people that I don't even know that were there. The learning was rich and there was so much passion and excitement and so many things. And London in itself, I know it has this reputation for being buttoned up and not very polite. That was not my experience at all. I feel like one of the things that I saw in London was that people were much more expressive and relaxed. And maybe it was the area that I was in, but I feel like it was completely the opposite. I actually felt like Americans were probably a little more conservative, which did kind of surprise me. But, in thinking about all of this and kind of where I want to land is we talked about, being present. We talked about just coming back to my roots and rebuilding and all of these different things. And, it's just life is short. It really is short. And um, all of those cliche sayings, all who wonder are not lost or something like that. It's just, I think that, travel in itself and just going through life, being willing to sit and look at yourself in the mirror, that is all about being present. It's all about being brave, curious, even a little bit. But it's all about reclaiming yourself, because something happens when we move from childhood through our teen years. And I would say it's the teen years that so many of us end up getting lost, because we just, especially as women, we just get pushed around and told that we have to do this or look at that, or there's always like a container that we have to fit into. And Danielle Laporte, I read this book years and years ago. I think it's called the Fire Starters book, but there was a quote in that book that said, "Who were you before the world told you who you could be?" And that has sat with me just, oh my God, for probably like 20 years. And so I think about that. Who were you before the world told you who you could be? And I would love to hear your responses to that. Who were you? What did you want to be before the world started to share, what they thought you could be? Because that's something that I have been pushing against my entire life, because the world told me that I was a teen mom with no future. And I just never bought into that. It just did not work for me. My spirit was just too fiery, I guess, that I just was like, there's so many things I want to achieve in this world, and just because I've had difficult circumstances does not mean that it has to limit my experience. Um, and so I would love to hear from you, um, just your stories, and if this resonated with you, if something resonated with you, I would love to hear it. But at the end of the day, it is your life. I am a Bon Jovi fan. I'm born in New Jersey. What can I say? So it's your life. It's your life. And so, again, like, what are you doing with your life? And whether you're rebuilding it, whether you're facing, being an empty nester, because that is a scary thing in itself. And people go through this every single year. And it's scary because you have to deal with yourself. And so, what have you been putting off that you can no longer put off? I shared with you, for me, I can no longer put off playing. I need to spend more time having fun in my life and not so much time working all the time because, as I was saying with my ex-husband, I used to always tell him, like, your company is not going to be on your gravestone. And it's just so true. And I have to remind myself of that. My clients are not going to be, at my funeral or whatever. I mean, maybe some of them will, but you get what I'm saying. We get one shot here, and everything that I've been through in rebuilding my life and, rebuilding my relationship with my kids, becoming a grandparent, navigating singleness, navigating entrepreneurship on my own, navigating cancer on my own. That, is for another time, but that was no easy feat either. So I will just say, whatever you're facing, I promise you can get through it if you're willing to be present with yourself. You're not as scary as you think you are. And you're allowed to have a human moment. You're allowed to experience it however you want to, on whatever timetable you need to. And I just want to encourage you that you already have what you need to get through the next thing.